Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the second day of the workshop on 5G cellular technologies organized by Art Park. I'm Shivashankar from the skilling team of Art Park. It's my pleasure to welcome and introduce Mr. Abhijit Chowdhury. Good morning, everybody. The first speaker for the day. Good morning.
Thanks, Artpar, for creating this forum and definitely Startup Karnataka. Uh, so we are today. What I'll present is that more on private 5G. I mean, all of you are familiar with 5G. Already 5G has rolled out from around 2 years now in India, and globally also it has been rolling out for almost 4.5 years. So our focus today would be some of the real applications or 5G, but for enterprise, not for retail users, for how enterprise can use it. That would be my focus. And let me share the screen, and hopefully I should be able to finish it by 45 minutes and also take some of the queries. Uh, uh, okay. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, thank you. So the idea is to enable private 5G and beyond. That is the talk that I'll be doing, and how it will enable enterprise operational effectiveness. That is predominantly for industrial sector. When we go to the industries, right, like industries like mining, oil and gas, ports, etc., right? So these are the industrial sector, including manufacturing, power grids. You can name all the industries which fall under industry 4.0 and coming in industry 5.0, right, sectors. So all these industries have one main issue that they face, is that they are talking about digitization, right? And they are talking about automation, how all their device can be connected. They can run AI/ML, they can do predictive maintenance. They would ensure no downtime and ensure security of the workers who work on industries, because it is hazardous. But one of the key challenges, right, to enable all this AI, ML, emerging technologies, drones, robotics, or even simple technologies like people to people communication in an industrial sector, is that it's very difficult to provide a connectivity solution to connect all these devices. If you take a mining, for example, which I'll also cover later, like it's an area of around minimum 2 to 3 square kilometer area, right? And it's predominantly outdoor. So if you see the existing IT deployment, or like IT kind of connectivity that we have in our office or at home, is predominantly Ethernet and wireless Wi-Fi based solution, right? So whereas it is good for indoor connectivity and predominantly for smaller range indoor connectivity, but when the range is like 2 kilometer and you have to cover such a big area, and you want to connect all the devices with mobility, that means even if the vehicle is moving, or the drone is moving, you want to capture high speed data, video output over the drone or the vehicle, and be able to show it, see what is happening, that too in real time, right? So you need a reliable connectivity across the 2 square kilometer area, with mobility, seamless mobility, and real time high bandwidth data being passed for video, for example, right? So this is one example of drone with video. But even for simple things like voice video communication, right, I have visited couple of mines. I saw that, like in the mine, right, it's a very big area. So there was one problem which happened in front of me, that they were trying to, but they pulled on the walkie talkie, because that's the only narrowband communication they have across the area, like what traffic police or the police use now, right? They switched on the walkie talkie, and they are trying to tell, okay, yeah, like some leakage is happening, but on the walkie talkie they are not able to show video, etc., right? Because they wanted to show exactly what has happened, but around 4 people within that site, mining site, one from operation team, one from the the miner who found that issue, and some from the management team, all of them got connected in walkie talkie. They are trying to talk over the walkie talkie, but they're not able to explain it properly. Instead of that, if they had a mobile phone itself, like how we use our mobile phone, and all of them have a mobile phone, and they can actually not only do the voice communication, they could have shown a video of what is the leakage exactly which was happening. So this basic kind of things itself is not working there, right? So forget about emerging technologies like drone, etc., but basic connectivity of all the vehicles across the entire area, basic voice video communication, which is a basic need now, right? There is an implementation gap. So we feel that the biggest hurdle for digital transformation of industries is connectivity, and once that is resolved, lot of the emerging technologies that we want to do in manufacturing, mining, that can be actually done. So private 5G we think can play an important role, because existing like Ethernet cannot do wireless. Existing Wi-Fi cannot scale such big areas with mobility. It's difficult. In indoor, it can play a good role, Wi-Fi, but when it comes to outdoor and such a huge area, it cannot play an important role. But definitely 5G along with Wi-Fi together can play a very important role. So while most of the industries or we are talking about talks about Wi-Fi, I think the main problem of industries of basic connectivity across the entire area and to enable emerging technologies will be resolved by bringing private cellular technologies, which is private 5G. That is very, very crucial, and that is one of the focus our company has. And yeah, I mean, what are the kind of use cases which private 5G can do? Of course, high bandwidth compared to 4G. You can video feeds. A typical mine has around 100 cameras across various sites, like how big, around 40 to 100 cameras based on how big the mine is, right? So each video bandwidth can be around 4 Mbps. So 4 into 100 is 400 Mbps data you have to send just for the surveillance cameras, right? So yet if you put a 4K camera, right, then you will be generating around, I think, 20 Mbps data. So 20 Mbps into 4 is like 2 Gbps. So you definitely need a high pipeline only for basic surveillance itself. Then you have AR, VR, and then you have other use cases coming, right? So you need high bandwidth with wireless. So private 5G can provide that. 5G technologies, each radio can provide a bandwidth of around 1 Gbps and beyond, of course, based on what kind of power it's kind of radiating. Then we talk about low latency communication, like you want to, the robotic arm, the AGVs, autonomous guided robots, or the vehicles have to actually move around. That's the emerging technology. So for that to happen, it has to have low latency. That means it has to be real time. It's not only high bandwidth, but it has to be real time. Because if a machine data you are collecting and that data reached after 1 second, by that time a fire hazard can happen. So it has to get the data instantaneously and send a response that stop the machine because there is something wrong, right? So that low latency is very important. Like the machine generated data at very low frequencies, which can be like in milliseconds, for example. So we need to get the data and quickly resolve that. So you cannot have a like a backhaul which is 1 second or 2 seconds. By that time, a calamity may happen in the industry, in the manufacturing. Right. Similarly, a robot. So when you talk about robots, maybe we have seen in Amazon warehouse, there are a lot of robots moving around, right? But these robots are not only fit with like some sensors inside, but they are also fit with a lot of video cameras, so that the data from each robot is to the like say the edge computations, which are again can be enabled through 5G, because 5G with edge compute. So 5G, a variation of 5G, can ensure that you can run the applications with a latency of within 5 milliseconds, for example, which are needed for like real-time application. So the third part is, of course, connecting massive number of devices. Like I have talked to a oil and gas refinery. So that means that like that many devices has to be managed in a private network. So for that, 5G provides again a massive type communication technology through which you can manage massive number of devices within a small area. So these are some of the use cases which are very industrial sector and which are very pertinent to what 5G can solve, and maybe 4G or Wi-Fi or Ethernet cannot solve. So that's why private 5G and beyond can play a massive role in digitization of industries. We talk about automation of industries, Industry 4.0 and 5.0 coming forward. So yeah, so I'm showing here a blueprint of like how when we go to the customer on private 5G, how it is done. Before that, I will just tell you what is the difference between normal 5G and a private 5G. So the private 5G that you use as a retail customer, probably in India, as part of Jio Airtel, right, are public 5G. That means it is available probably across India, and if you go outside India, the operator like Jio or Airtel would have with the operator. Let's say in Europe, it will have with Vodafone. It will have with Deutsche Telekom. If you go to like US, you have with AT&T agreement that the operator has to provide the 5G. Right? So that is for retail users, and when the SIM is given by Geo, and it is a public SIM which you can use even outside India, right? So that's how it works. But when you talk about private 5G or captive 5G, it is limited not across the entire area, but within a site, like your office, for example. You create a Wi-Fi network within your office, right? So similarly, think about a mine, which is outdoor and which is like 2 square kilometer area, and they want a better technology or a hybrid technology along with Wi-Fi, which will solve all their issues, right? So that is within. So then we create a private 5G within that site. Right, and that private 5G is different from the public 5G. So the SIM that you use within that mining site would be, for example, given by us. We'll give the SIMs, or our customers, who are our customers, the mine company, would actually take the SIMs from us and distribute it to all the devices. Let's say when the people come to work, right, they are given a mobile phone, a hardened mobile phone. Instead of the walkie-talkie, they will be given a hardened mobile phone, which is used to do broadcast communication as well as video communication, right? So the SIM inside that will be given by us, and it will be private, and it will work only within that mining site, right? Fit with a 5G SIM, which will be used for tracking all the vehicles, all the machines, and also collecting all their sensor data, for example. Then all the drones would be 5G enabled drones. It will be fit with 5G SIM, right? So all the devices would be fit with private 5G SIM. And that 5G SIM would not get authenticated with Jio Airtel server, but it will get authenticated with a 5G code that we will deploy. Like our company works on private 5G, right? So our product is like on 5G core, for example. So we will that SIMs like when you switch on the, let's say, the rugged mobile phone, right? So it will try to connect with the radios which are deployed within that mining site. Again, that would be through our radio partners whom we work with, which will be actually deployed across the mining site. So like typically one radio can cover, based on the power output, can cover around 500 meters on a radius, right? So to cover 2-3 square or 4 square kilometer area, maybe you need around 6 to 7 radios to cover the entire site, right? So we will work with our partners to deploy the radio on that site, and these radios would get connected. All these radios would get connected to their IT room within that mining site, and in the IT room, our 5G core would be residing, which is our product. Then the edge compute platform, which is also our product, where all the applications run, will be deployed. Now, what happens is that when you switch on your mobile phone, that the rugged mobile phone that I was mentioning, it has to connect to the 5G network, right? So the SIM is private 5G, which we have actually programmed and given, right? So when you switch on that, it will latch on to the nearby radio, like you have put 7 radios, so one of the radios nearby, it will latch on, and that radio signal will actually be sent through a backhaul technology, which can be fiber, or it can be a wireless backhaul to the computer room within the site. So it comes to the to the 5G packet core. So that's the packet core network of the 5G architecture. So the 5G architecture firstly has all the devices, right? Like the 5G, like the drones or mobile phones, etc., which are fit with a SIM, which are 5G. Then the second part is the access network, which has the radios with whom the 5G devices will connect to. So that is the second part of the network. The third part is actually a backhaul technology which connects all these radios to the 5G packet core, right? So the backhaul technology is not 5G defined, but it's a backhaul that you will need. Like it can be a wireless backhaul or a fiber backhaul. The radios would be connected through fiber, for example, to the computer room. And the computer room, you have the 5G core. The 5G core is actually the heart of the entire 5G network, because all the authentication, allowing a device to come in, will be done by that. All the aggregation of the radio, all the data that you receive from the radio will actually come here. Then you will distribute and network it, route the packet. Maybe you may drop the packet if policy enforcement is that device is not allowed to enter because of privacy and security. Then if it is blacklisted, then you will actually not allow that device to enter the network. But if it's whitelisted, then you will allow the net, like authenticate that SIM, and then you will give an IP address, so that once the SIM gets an IP address, it can connect to the 5G core. So it can like you can try to connect to the internet. So the data from your mobile phone, hardened mobile phone of the miner would go to the radio. From the radio, it will go to the packet core. Packet core, because like it is whitelisted. From there, you can connect to the internet, or you can connect to the existing applications which will be hosted in the edge cloud, for example, right? It can be a drone. A drone can talk to the drone application in the edge compute platform, that would be enabled. Or if it's a voice video communication, you can talk to the IMS server, so which is used for multimedia services, voice and multimedia services, which will again be hosted on the edge compute, right? And so you actually connect to the cloud for your drone application or the autonomous guided vehicle that I was talking about, or the robots, right? Then you will actually have the latency of the cloud, and which can go to 1 second, because you cannot control the latency of the internet, right? So you have to run those applications, especially which need real-time connectivity and high bandwidth, should run on the edge compute platform itself. Let's say I was talking about if you use 4G cameras and like you have 10, 100 like this one, right? Cameras, right? So it will generate around 2 Gbps throughput. Is it feasible to send 2 Gbps throughput to the internet? It's not feasible, right? Like you won't have such a big pipe in itself to internet WAN link, and also that too in rural areas where sometimes the mines, the industrial sector is in rural areas, right? You won't even have a 100 Mbps pipe. Forget about having 1 Gbps or 2 Gbps. So most of the applications actually for industrial operation has to run on the edge compute, and industries also prefer that because of security and privacy. They have a lot of operational data which they do not want to expose on the public cloud or the telecom cloud. So that's why they look for a private network which they control, like their Wi-Fi network, and where they can ensure all the applications are running within their cloud or within that site, instead of going to the telecom or the operator like the normal cloud providers, right? So that's private 5G, and private 5G, I feel, for industries works hand on hand with the edge compute, because a lot of applications needs to be actually residing there. So I think any questions, like I'm not sure, like we can wait for me to complete and then we can answer. But any important questions that you feel, I'm happy to answer at this point, because some of the questions may be important to be addressed. So feel free to let me know. Okay, so I think I've already covered that why we need private 5G, and I told about the benefits over Wi-Fi and like Ethernet, and definitely I didn't cover from a real ROI that the customers look at, which is...
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Yeah, I can.
Is that 5G, private 5G is connected to the Airtel or Jio? Are you that is the which is worldwide coverage who have? Are you
Uh,
connecting this private 5G to that?
Yeah, see, what happens is think it as your Wi-Fi network in your office, right? Or in your campus, right? IIC campus, for example. So if you see IIC campus would ultimately connect to internet, like you are able to browse from IIC campus or from your office, right, to internet. So how you are doing it? That means the IIC campus or the enterprise, your company has a WAN link, which they have either taken from ISPs, internet service providers like ACT or like Hathway, or they have taken it from the TSPs, the telecom service providers like Airtel or Jio. So even your normal Wi-Fi network can connect to an Airtel data network through a internet gateway. Same thing here. It is a private network. Obviously, you cannot connect directly. In India, especially, it's a captive network. You cannot, unless it's an operator, you cannot connect this network over the air to a operator's network when it is a captive network. But you can connect the data network because like what happens, the core gets the 5G like the signals, right? And the core 5G core would it acts as a gateway which converts the 5G net data to a IP data, like an internet protocol, what is used in the internet or within the intranet within the ISC campus or the enterprise, right? So that the core can connect to the company's gateway, IT gateway, or the IIC's internet gateway, right? So from the internet gateway, obviously you can connect internet, you can watch like you can connect to YouTube, you can connect to the research, the Google and all the other places. It is feasible, but you cannot do wirelessly. So that means you cannot roam from this private network to the operator's network. That is not allowed in India in captive for captive network, because you will be given a spectrum. Okay, one thing I didn't cover, like I told all the things I didn't cover, is that the spectrum. You need to get a spectrum from DOT for doing a trial, to create a trial network. Initially, the spectrum would be limited to be used only within your within the mining site or within IIC, right? So you cannot go beyond that. So you cannot connect wirelessly on a wireless mobility to the Airtel network. But definitely you can connect on the IT network. That means you can connect to internet through the 5G core. It will connect to the IT gateway of ISC, and then it can go to the internet. So that is like your normal Wi-Fi network, right? How they connect. It will work exactly same. Hopefully it
Thank,
answers your question.
thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Very good answer. Sir, one question, sir. What is the cost if I go for a private? Can you give some idea installation cost for 1 square kilometer area radius coverage, all these things?
Yeah, the cost definitely would depend on how many radios are needed. I mean,
Three radios are required for 1 square kilometer because we are planning for our installing in our university campus for such
okay.
private. Yes. Please give some idea, sir.
We can actually like what will happen is that definitely the cost would depend on how many radios are needed. As you told, you need 2-3 radios, but there are more things like the radios will be high, how much power would be needed, right? So the cost would vary on that. The cost is also decreasing. I won't say that the cost would be like as in a, like as the cost of Wi-Fi at this point, because Wi-Fi has been there for quite some time, right? So the cost of a, but there are more radio would actually be higher than the cost of a like a Wi-Fi. But the Wi-Fi coverage would be 50 meters, but the coverage from a 5G radio can go around 500 meters, right? Where it is outdoor, and indoor it can have a coverage of around 100 to like 200 meters based on, or maybe more, based on how much wattage it can give. So we can talk about the cost. I mean, based on the specific things. I mean, I'll share my email ID so we can discuss that. I'll connect to the right people to get the costing. But on the long run, right? Like what we see is that it will be much beneficial because you can connect the entire site. when you connect a Wi-Fi, you will see that there are a lot of dead zones. Like one of the mines was looking to actually use. They have an entire Wi-Fi network across their mines, and they told that they have spent a lot of investment on creating that network. But I asked them, now you are looking at Wi-Fi, private 5G, again investment. Why you are looking at that? He told that in their mind, they now have 3-4 communication network. One they have is the walkie-talkie, which is narrowband. Then they have the Wi-Fi network, which they had put to cover the vehicle tracking. But if that thing was not successful, because what happened, the Wi-Fi coverage is around, like, let's say 50 meters, right? But because the vehicle can move around lot of areas, right? So they had to put so many Wi-Fi access points, and they had to put it wherever the vehicle is moving. So because they were not getting a full coverage, what they did is that the vehicles are fixed to they made the vehicles to move some fixed path. Like they will go from the quarry where the iron, the coal mines, like the coal is getting extracted, then it will come to a place where they put it. They would dump it so that the railway can carry the ore, I mean, to a refinery when it will get refined, right? So that fixed part, the street fixed part, on that street, they have put towers, and they have put Wi-Fi, because they were not able to, like, if the vehicle wants to take a detour and go to some other place, they are not getting connectivity. So that's why they told that it's not scalable, it's not working out. The basic connectivity itself is not working out, right? So Wi-Fi is the second thing they are using as a network. Then they are using, for surveillance, they were using Ethernet, like fiber-based like cameras, because they need high bandwidth comparatively, right? So they wanted to use Ethernet. Now the problem is in mines, excavation happens, right? So definitely the wire will get cut, because when they are excavating or the vehicle is moving, it can cut the wire, right? So that fiber thing is the wire service only 5G, like 5G based drone, 5G based sensors, 5G based mobile phones. So that way 5G is the umbrella technology which will solve all their use cases, right? So when we talk about 5G, we have to think about ROI. What is the return of investment over time? Because you will get entire connectivity now. So your efficiency increases, your productivity increases, your safety and security of the people increases, and your downtime reduces for factories. In the case of campus, you talked about university, for example, you would not have a dead zone. You would have a connectivity outdoor, which is a massive actually upgrade of your existing network, right? Of course, your existing Wi-Fi network would also coexist, which you have already invested, because in 5G you can connect your existing Wi-Fi network on a private 5G network, and it will coexist. So ultimately, on the long run, the ROI, the return of investment, is justified. So that is what he told me. Like, why I asked him, you have invested so much money, and again, why you are investing in the mine on a private network?